Hey guys, it's Alicia. Welcome back to Life with Alicia, the podcast. Today I have Randy here with me, and we're going to be talking about life after college and just the transition from college to career and a whole bunch of other things. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. I just want you to first maybe give people like a little bit background, college, maybe even a little before, and then like what you're into now, and then we'll get more deeper into things as we go along.
Okay. Well, I'm Randy, obviously. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I went to school in Rock Hill with you at Winthrop University. I studied mass communications and I focused on journalism, so like the opposite of broadcasting side. I've kind of moved around for a little bit, and now I live here in Charlotte, and I am the digital program director for Beasley Media Group. And so I basically work with the local radio stations here and do a bunch of the digital work behind the scenes.
That's awesome. So you told me what you studied in school. When you first went to Winthrop, is that what you started with?
No. So when I got to Winthrop, I think whenever we pick your major, I remember they gave us like the choice. I actually didn't know what I wanted. And I was sitting in, I don't know where, but I remember the girl behind me said her major was marketing because there were a lot of job opportunities. And I just picked that. I was like, sounds good to me.
Makes sense.
So I just went with business, focus in marketing, and I was like, why not? And probably not even a year, and like all the freshman year, I was like, this is not what I want to do. I don't know what I want to do. And sophomore year, I officially switched it to mass comm, and then I decided my minor would be business, because I just feel like business is universal.
That makes sense.
I was like, if I can't find something, this minor in business is going to give me something.
Yeah.
So I kind of did that swap early on and then stuck with mass comm after that.
Did you have a career like idea or a goal when you picked your major, or did it kind of like, let's just see what happens? Or did you have anybody that you were like, maybe I could be like them, like you use them as like a role model, I guess?
Actually, growing up, I think movies, oddly enough, it's probably Tyler Perry movies the most. The woman who ever had the money in the movie, she always did advertisement.
Okay.
Like I always saw that.
Okay.
And even, what show was it? Blackish. The dad was into that. And I was like, making a commercial, that's something I think I could do. I think I was also focused on money. So I saw people in advertisement made good money. And I was like, creative, money, I really don't care about anything else, but making good money. So that's kind of the only ideal that I had. But like a specific career, nothing.
That's really interesting that you say that about like seeing that.
Yeah.
Because in the past episode I was talking about me wanting to be a hip hop journalist and not seeing that when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So I never knew it was a thing that I could really do. So you seeing that is really cool to say. Because I feel like now there's so much for kids to see that they can be. You know what I mean? So that's really cool that you
It's
say
weird,
that.
like, it was a movie, but in my mind, I was like, that is a real job somewhere. And if they're making this money in a TV show or a movie, it's somewhere close to what they would make in real life.
Right.
And I think even though you didn't really see like their full job, because it's like sitcoms or movies, you saw a little speck, it was just really interesting to me.
Right.
So I think I just kind of focused on that. And I was like, marketing, mass comm, either way, I would end up possibly in advertising. Even now, like in the future, if I got there, it would be kind of cool, like full circle. But yeah, I saw it in movies all the time, and I think I just stuck with that.
Right, that makes sense. So we went to Winthrop, same major, and I just remember everyone saying that Winthrop was the place to go for this type of thing. Do you feel like while we were there, this is not a nub on like Winthrop, but do you feel like just from what they provided, without going further than what you did outside of that it was the best, I guess, the standard for you? Or do you feel like you had to keep going, like doing things outside of college? Or do you feel like it was like good? Enough, I guess.
I think I would say good enough, as in Winthrop, I think, gave me the bare minimum. Like, I could specifically say with what I do now, a lot of writing, that one writing class I took in Winthrop is probably the one thing I will take throughout this career that I have, because I use it every day. So giving me the bare minimum, yes, but to make it where I am now and like the field that I'm in with the passion that I have for it now, Winthrop didn't give me that. I think me kind of wanting to find something that made me happy and being like, okay, instead of sticking with what Winthrop gives, go out and look for it and do it yourself. that is what put me, I think, where I am. Like Winthrop gave me surface level bare minimum,
Right.
in my opinion.
And I, like, while I was in college, I always wondered, like, is that, are you just, they're just giving us what they need?
Right, like, is this normal?
Yeah. Or am I supposed to be going? And I think, like, since we're in Charlotte, there's not that many. We also compare our life to, like, people on social media. So you got people that go to like, NYU and stuff, and they're landing all these big internships, but we're at, like,
small old Winthrop.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I think I used to say it was normal, but then I again, like you say, social media, you look at other schools. Like I used to look at girls that went to school in Atlanta, and I'm like, whoa, like what am I doing wrong?
Right.
Because they're getting these internships at these big companies. It's kind of like, it's just where they are.
Exactly.
Like, it's honestly luck of the draw.
Yeah.
You picked a school in a city that has all of these opportunities. Not saying they didn't get them for other reasons, but the sense of like where it is in correlation to where they go to school, way better than what we had.
Yeah. And I think that might be something like an advice to maybe even freshmen or kids going into college. Like, if you know what you want to do,
find the school
then find the school for that and the location.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I didn't know really what I wanted to do, and I didn't know that college really could. I thought going to college was
for fun.
And then, or like you're gonna get a job after that.
Yeah, same. I was like, I know I didn't want to do the military, so it was like,
right, literally.
If I didn't do military, I'm like, I'm not going to cosmetology school. That's not my thing. There was nothing else for me to do. And I think it also gave me time. I used to always say college gave me an extra 4 years to decide while living off the dime of something else. And I was perfectly okay with that.
Right. And to talk about Winthrop too, I feel like a lot of times the professors, they were all like they had their careers in news or whatever. And so they were pretty hard on us a lot too. Some of them. Yes. There was a standard. And I feel like a lot of our peers kind of were just like doing the bare minimum. Do you feel like you did the bare minimum, or do you feel like you really cared about like your projects and stuff like that?
Look, in the moment, I think because I took my grades very serious because I'm trying to figure out a good way. Like growing up, not that I didn't try, but I didn't have to. Like I'm just naturally good with, it was easy to me. So when I got to Winthrop and I realized I had to try, I took it serious enough to try because I wanted to keep that A's and B's. Like my parents were very proud of my grades. They never complained about it. So I wanted to keep that. But looking back now that I'm not there, and like there are certain things that I do within my career, like with my friends, and I'm like, wow, I wish I took like media and stuff more seriously in college because I had the time to. Like now, when I did YouTube for a little bit, I'm like, wow, I wish I started this earlier because I had the time to give it technically my all. I didn't have a full-time job. Like I was just having fun. I could have been more carefree. And now it's like if I do something, I have to take it serious. And it also has to be beneficial because I have bills to pay. Like I'm not just in the dorm.
Yes, right.
Y'all, my tuition got pulled out. I don't have to worry about
things to lose now. And we were talking about
so
that
like
too.
Now I can play, but I can't play too much. So I do wish, not that I just didn't do the school. Like I feel like I just did the projects. I did little stuff. But like if I had gotten into maybe more clubs or like you started something for yourself, it was like something that you enjoy. If I could have done that or took YouTube serious or just talked to more people, I think it would have been more beneficial now. And I think just no one ever told me that. Right. Or maybe they did, and like we're just so young, and it's like, okay, like I'm gonna do it later. And now that you're older, you're like, dang, I should have did it earlier. Yeah. So I will say that for Winthrop at least.
Yeah. So after college, like you're done. You're about to walk the stage. What's going through your head? Do you have something lined up for after college, or are you just like, we're gonna see what happens? You're going back to Charleston. Like, what was your process like right after college?
So
graduation?
For me, I actually had already had plans to move to Houston, Texas after graduation. I had that plan since high school. Like every day I was in college, all of my friends know. I used to tell them like, we on a countdown. I love y'all. We gonna have a good time. But the moment I graduate, y'all probably will have a couple of weeks of me left, and I'm gone. And that was...
That's dope.
Yeah, it's like the day I said, the first day I went to Houston, I said, I'm moving here when I graduate college, and my family kind of was like... But they also knew me, and when I say something, it's gonna happen.
And that's good.
Yeah, so that was always my thing. I probably could have done it better, because I did have an interview lined up for when I moved. I had an interview at a news station I moved like on a Sunday because I know it was the weekend. We drove. I got there maybe Saturday or Sunday. I had an interview that Tuesday.
Okay.
So that was nice. I didn't get that job. So once I didn't get that job, it was kind of like, okay, now what? And so I had nothing planned, which I guess is a good or bad thing. I think I just really needed the mental space to get out of South Carolina and North Carolina. I couldn't be here. There were like people that I was like, I'm just been around y'all all my life. I need
Right.
something different. And so I'm one of those people, I wasn't afraid. So the only thing I had lined up was like, you're leaving. You got somewhere to live when you get there.
Yeah.
You have your car. You don't really need
That's
nothing else. So job-wise, I could have did better. I had one interview, didn't get it, and then I was just like, well, I'm here.
So what did you do? Did you work outside of like your career plan?
Yes.
Did you do things outside of that?
So when I got there, everybody knows graduation, you get some good money.
Right.
That's the most money I've ever seen in my life from a gift. So I was like, I got some months. And so I got there, had that interview. I didn't get the job. And I for sure, the whole time I lived in Texas, which was about a year, every day I lived there, I applied to a minimum of 5 jobs. It didn't matter if it was Saturday or Sunday. I had a goal.
and just in Houston, in Texas?
Yeah,
or-
just in
okay.
Houston because I was already there. So
Okay.
every day, apply to 5 jobs. And then I got there in June. And by August, I was like, okay, I don't have a job. And I've been the person, I've been working since I could work. So I've been having a job since 15.
Right.
And I couldn't do it anymore. And I went in the mall one day and I was like, I've already worked in the mall. I enjoy it. So I applied at H&M and I got the job there, which I loved it. But while I was there, I just kept thinking like, you have a college degree and you are working at H&M. And I was like, okay, it's money, but you are working. And my friends were different. So maybe that's another thing. Like my friends entered their careers immediately. And I was like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah.
So I worked at H&M for a while, and then I got into radio, so kind of in my field, but I was in the promo crew for, they were Intercom at the time, but they've switched, like Intercom got bought out. So I worked doing that part-time, so I was at the mall, and then I would leave the mall, go to the radio station. I would do this part-time, and it was fun. I was like, I'm in it, but I'm not in it.
Yeah.
Like I was part-time. I wasn't really doing it, and I just worked events. But in my mind, it was like, something eventually, hopefully, will come. So I did both of those until I left Texas, and that was only because of COVID. So,
And it's so crazy because like the time frame that you say, like that wasn't actually that long.
just
And
felt
we have
like
so
it.
much pressure on
Yeah.
ourselves, like what, and especially when you see other people getting jobs, and you're
Yes.
just like, okay, now
Where's
how?
mine?
Yes.
How'd you get it?
And what am I doing differently, and what do I need to do?
Yes.
And I think it's just that comparing thing that we do so naturally, and it's just like you just take your time.
Yeah, you try
'Cause
not to
that really
compare.
was not a long time.
It's not.
But if you've been going, because I started working as soon as I could too.
Yeah.
So as soon as you get like that, like, hold up.
This ain't it.
No.
I need to be somewhere else.
Exactly. And that's hard. So you left Houston because of COVID.
Yeah, so when COVID happened, the March 2020, my radio job called first. It was like, hey, we're going to take a minute. And I was like, okay, thinking like everybody else thought, a week or two.
Yeah.
Then the mall called me and was like, we're closing just for a little bit. And at that time, I'm really good at retail. I like people.
Yeah.
To me, it's fun. Some people hate it. I love it. So I had gotten to the point where I was actually training to like possibly become a manager, which I still was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to go up in
Yes.
this. But I was okay with it. And he was like, just a couple weeks. And I was like, okay. And then a couple weeks turned into like a month. And then it was 2 months. And then I remember I just called my mom and I was like, I can't do this. Like
Yeah.
I was unhappy in Texas at that point. I didn't have a job. And so I ended up going back to South Carolina because I got a part-time job as a digital producer for a news station there. And I was like, ugh, I hate news. Like I knew I wasn't gonna be happy, but at that point, nobody else was hiring. And I was
Yeah.
like, news is hiring. You gotta
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So I left and then went back.
Yeah, and to go back to about you saying like retail, because when I graduated from college, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to. Well, it was like I knew that. So at that point, my relationship was coming first.
Yeah.
Like I just knew that if I had to move to Charleston, that
Yeah.
was just it. And I was working at a restaurant that didn't work out. It was good money in Charleston, but it didn't really work out. And then I started working at Urban Outfitters, and that was like my dream job as a kid.
Yeah.
And but when I and then I such a hard worker, and it sounds that's like how you are, and just like you accidentally become a manager.
Yep.
And then you're giving all your time to it, and then it's just like,
I didn't plan to be here this long. Hold on.
No, and then it's like it's not embarrassing because everybody's looking like, what are you doing? And were you doing YouTube when you were in Houston?
Yeah, so I started it there, which was fun, but I was like, do I tell people I'm working at H&M after y'all?
Did you feel pressure from that?
Yes, and I felt pressure also from just the people I worked with. Like, I made so many friends working there, and I loved it, but some of them were younger than me. Some of them were still in school, and one of them, actually, like, me and him are still pretty close, but he was in school doing the same thing. I went to school for mass communication. So when he would ask me questions and I'm answering to help him, I would feel like, hold on. We work in the same job and like you're earning this degree. I already have it. Mm-hmm. Why am I here?
Yeah.
So like that little bit of like pressure used to just, even though I knew he wasn't doing it with intent of that way, like he was just like, oh my God, this is so helpful. Yeah. But for me, it was like.
And he's still in school, so he might not even
see like my soul was getting ripped out because I'm like, I'm really answering you these questions.
And you worked hard in school, so you're just like.
I've already done this.
Yes.
And we're coworkers.
Do you feel like, so from my experience from working in retail and like being a manager at Urban Outfitters, I did learn so much, not even just about myself, but just like about working and also realizing like, at this point, it's about not just money, but it's just about your happiness. Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of people that get into news and they're like, no.
100%.
No, this is not it.
100%.
So it's just like interesting how we put so much pressure on ourselves, but we really learn from every situation that we're in. And we're still, at this age, we're still so young. Like you're in your position now, but you have no idea where you'll even be next year.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm still in my 20s.
Yeah.
Like, and looking back, I was actually happier working at H&M than I was at the news station.
I know.
And I was making more money at H&M than I was making at the news station.
And that's the crazy part about it, too. And with those kind of companies, like with Urban Outfitters, they were so great with, like, promoting people. Yes. And then you realize, like, oh, but wait, there could have been, like, marketing positions, like, that you could work yourself up to.
Like, eventually get to corporate of the store. And I'm like,
I know, but it's
like,
hard.
How fast?
Yeah.
Tomorrow?
I know, and then you just also feel disposable. Like they could replace me
with a teenager who can be like,
"Oh, yeah,
I don't need 12. I can get $10 an hour." And I'm like, hold on.
So
need
to negotiate.
That was it.
Oh, I wanted to know if you had any advice for college students. It could be any age, like any year or whatever, but for college, and then for maybe like how to transition into like a career. Because I know for me, I would probably tell myself, my college self, like maybe enjoy it a little bit more. I was so busy and like always doing something that I don't know if I went out enough.
See, and I think I went out a lot. Mm-hmm. Like I had a lot of fun. So I would tell myself and anybody like in that situation now, I think not take it more serious. Okay, maybe my one big thing, because I think I've learned this in the last few years, if you want to do it, do it. Like if you're thinking about doing it, if you're thinking about starting something, if you're thinking about maybe I want to do this, I would say do it. Because probably now is the best time, like this podcast, really YouTube, anything. If we really thought about it, we could have started it. And honestly, we would have ate it up back then.
We would have been sitting
because
on some
you would have just had so much time to perfect it.
Yeah.
So I would say if you're thinking about doing something, don't even hesitate. Just do it. Honestly, you fall, get back up. Nowadays, especially, everybody is doing something. Yeah. Everybody got a business, a side hustle, passive income. That is the normal. So if you're thinking about it, do it and connect with the right people. Like, I think networking is probably the best thing because your resume can say a lot.
Yes.
But if you know somebody in the right doors, that's probably that's better than what your resume may say.
And like I've heard people say like they've had an interview with someone. It didn't really work out, but that person would still like look out for them, like, you know, outside of it. And I think that I would probably tell kids in college, like, making connections doesn't always have to be the people that are outside of like your peer group or whatever, because I feel like we forget that we can make professional connections with the people around us.
Yep.
That can lead us on for like after college. Like Faith and I, like I don't even know if we did anything while we were in college, but just knowing that I always had that back in my head, like,
You're like, look at
this
us now.
person or like Karina
Yeah.
or anybody, like because you make those connections, you're a good person with those people, and you don't always have to look for the people that are already up there
Yeah.
to make those connections. Like focus on the people around you too a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
I think I could have did that more for sure. Like I think I had my friends, and not that I wanted to be friends with other people, but I think mainly because like me and my best friend, we went to school together, we lived together, we had the same major, but we wanted two different paths. And for us, we were just comfortable with each other. So it was like we may want separate things, but like we still talk to each other about it. And I wish, even for her, like I wish both of us like connected with people in that specific field, or
Right.
like just students. Because
Yeah.
we both made friends outside of each other, but like we were our safety nets. So like if I connected with like you, Karina, like just different people
Right.
who are more on the side of media that I liked, I think everybody could have just like came out with different things.
yes, like
Yeah.
even like a support group.
Yeah,
almost.
it's like, girl, we want the same thing, so let's figure this out.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Yeah.
So what are your goals now? Like 5-year plan feels a little too soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. 5 years feels like a
Like
short
tomorrow.
Yeah. What are your goals for like your 10-year goals?
In 10 years, I see myself, one, married, and then as a mom, because that is very important to me. I think I hold motherhood over career 100%. So I definitely see myself being a mom, hopefully stay at home and not working where I work now. And passive income is very important to me. So a little bit of all of that.
That's really interesting because just because you've been working so hard and for you to say motherhood over career
Yeah.
is like, and I feel like, especially in my position being I like to say homemaker now
Yeah.
because I've learned that term. It's just a lot of people judge you for it. It's like 50-50.
Yeah.
And people not understanding that being a homemaker / stay-at-home mom is not just staying at home.
No,
You're
it's a
dealing with
lot.
a lot.
Yeah.
And like, especially in this type of, do you even feel like in this career that you have right now, could you easily be like a mother at the same time? Not easily, but maybe would it be your expectations, or that's not really?
I could. Honestly, I could balance the career that I have now would probably be amazing. For anybody who would like need to have a job at the same time, what I do now would probably be great, because with my office, I'm very blessed to have people who are over me, very flexible. So like I can wake up and be like, I don't feel like going in today. I'm working from home. And so I think having that balance, it could be great, but I just know how I've always thought, and like how I hold when I get that title. Like I know how much that is important to me, that I'm not gonna care. Like I love my job. And so I think I take it so serious. Like when I get to know someone and I'm like planning a future with them, one of my top things is like, I need you to understand, like I'm great with working. I love it. I hold having a job very special, but being a mom is more important. So anybody I date, I deal with, I let it known up front, like, are you cool with me staying home when I first have a baby? Because if you're not that type of guy who's gonna be like, I can afford to do that, and your career is not lining up with you can afford to do that, it's not gonna work.
And like, I really appreciate you for being honest in that, not just with me, but with the person that you're dating, because a lot of people would be like, if we were to post just this clip, they'd be like, oh my God.
She is
She's
gold
looking-
digging,
yes.
and she wants somebody
But
with
if
this.
you're honest with that
Yeah.
person, then you, like, say you're with this person, you didn't express that, you have a child, and that is still what you want to do, and
I
they're not
can't.
feeling with
Yeah.
that, and then now what are you going to do? Are you going to just, is it a broken home now? What are you going to do?
Yep.
So when you're honest with someone, even not just in this situation, but honest with
Everything.
them, with
Yeah.
everything, you cut out so much stuff for later.
Yeah.
Later things that that are going to come up.
Yeah.
So, and like for me, I think a lot of people judge being a stay-at-home mom because it's like they just think that we're just getting in the car,
and just hanging out.
like doing all the stuff, being responsible for all those things, being responsible for people's lives, making sure your marriage is intact, because that's another thing. Like you're at home, they're at work, they come home. You both have had long days, but you still have to have that like intimacy with them that you just put that to the side.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't see how hard it actually really is.
Like
and
that's life after college itself. Because like your life after college and my life, two different things.
Yeah.
But it's both work.
Right.
Like we both are doing a lot. So I think it's kind of like a balance. But no, I love my career, and the job specifically I have now, I was actually an intern for this position in college. So it's like full circle for me to have it.
Yeah, that's dope.
And it was a dream, like, oh my God, I was her intern. I loved it. And I was like, I wish I could just come back. Thankfully I did. It worked out. Like, took a lot to get here, but full circle, I got the job. That was my dream job. And so once I got it, I kind of had to ask, like, okay, so technically this was my peak, and like I'm here, but I'm not at a peak at 26.
Right.
So for me, I knew like I would stay at this position honestly forever, but I know the day I'm able to become a mom, it's like, you were my peak, but like this peak
I admire
was
that,
above this.
because you're working really, really hard.
Thank you.
And it's like you're okay with
Walking away. 100%.
That's beautiful. And a lot of women cannot do that.
Yeah, no.
So
I will quickly.
I admire that. I'm excited to see your 10-year plan, even your 5-year, because the cool thing about it, I mean, I did not expect all this in my 5-year plan at all.
Yeah.
Like, not that I didn't expect it, it's just that I thought it was like my 10-year plan, you know? So I'm excited to see whatever happens in your 5-year, 10-year, whatever.
I'll come back with my baby. We're going to be on the podcast. I'm like, ooh, I remember this was the
I can have Gabriella babysit, because she has no cousins that are her. That
right.
are
And she'll
her
be a little bit
age.
older. So I'm like, yeah, you
Exactly.
can watch the baby in the corner.
Right.
We'll get this done.
Yes. Well, but thank you so much for joining us. I loved it. I love talking about this because, I mean, we could go on and on about life after college.
Yes.
And do you have anything else you want to add or anything you want to say?
I would just say for anybody watching, if there is, again, anything that you want to do, dream about doing, do it. And for me, I think I didn't really express myself to my friends when I was struggling, like before I got a job, because honestly, I was working part-time at places. I DoorDashed for a little bit, never told anybody. Not that I was embarrassed, but it's like, when you in the moment, it sucks. Be very sad. I was very sad, but I always told myself, like, this is not forever. So like, if you're in that, it's not forever. Like, eventually something's gonna come. I got a full circle moment, thankfully. Like, it happened when it did. But even if it didn't happen now, I would still know, like, it's gonna come. So I feel like, don't stress yourself out. That was a big thing, which I tried not to, and I did really good not to. I lived my life. I might have been door dashing, but like I was door dashing and gonna pay for a trip to Jamaica. Like I was gonna do it. I wasn't gonna like not have fun because I wasn't where I want to be. So I would definitely say have fun, do whatever, like live it up, because money may not be there, career may not be there, but like you're only gonna be in your young 20s once. So that was my main thing. I think I would always tell people, like, have fun, do what you need to do to make it in that moment, but then just keep working towards it, and like you'll get it.
That's beautiful. I love that.
It's a good time.
I need to, I wish I heard that when I was a little bit younger. but yeah, like I said, thank you for joining us. Thank you guys for listening. Don't forget, we'll have an episode every other Friday. You can find us at YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Thank you for joining us. Bye.